Hello, class. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the week 2 response paper. This is one of the first essays that we have in this class, so I know some of you may be feeling a little bit nervous or just unsure of what the expectations are. So I just wanted to take a few moments just to talk about what this paper means and just give you some overall tips so you are successful. One of the things to think about if we look big picture in the course is this is really one of the assignments that's the first step in writing the week 7 research essay. And what I mean by that is we are going to dig deep into the stories that we have read so far in the course. And that is one of the first steps that you're going to take in doing literary analysis and doing research for literary analysis, which is what you're going to be asked to do in week 7. So this is kind of a practice paper for you to get used to this style of writing. And what's nice about the stories in our course are they're relatively short. So you have the opportunity to read them multiple times. And I know some of you may be thinking, oh no, I just, I want to read it and get on and start writing. And I understand that. However, we've chosen these high interest and shorter stories for you to be able to spend a little bit more time with them and to understand what it means to look for text evidence and to understand what it means to write about literary work. Okay, so that's what we're going to do on this first essay. So the only source that you're using for the essay are the stories that you choose. You're not going to use any kind of Google or outside resource. This is just you getting a little bit more familiar with the story. Okay, and that's what we're going to be looking for is that text evidence. All right, so you have a choice of 4 different things to write about. And I have it shown here on the screen. I'm not going to read through every one of these because I know that you know how to do that. But you're just going to choose one of these. So that way you have something to write about that has some teeth to it. Sometimes I have students that try to write about all 4 of these and it really doesn't become a successful paper because it just becomes all over the place. So by picking one of these, then you're going to really spend a little bit more time and a little bit more in-depth analysis of the story that you choose, or we're talking about the characters. Okay, so in that analysis, because you're going to choose one of these prompts, and you're choosing some things that what are your initial thoughts about these, and that's what these prompts are asking you to do. So what are some of your initial thoughts? But then you're going to go back and find that support in the story itself. Okay, if you look at the requirements, you're going to have at least one direct quote, which is a direct quote. It is taken word from word from the story itself, and then also one paraphrase. So you're going to have 2 pieces of text evidence from the story. Okay, and of course you're going to use the MLA and text citations to denote that this is the evidence that comes from the story. Okay. So I want you to think about ahead when we're looking at week 7, this is going to be one of the first things that you're going to do is you're going to really be familiar with the story. And that's what we're doing here. It's not necessary that you're going to use the story from week 2 for your research essay in week 7, but this is just an opportunity for you to practice that. Okay, so make sure you understand the requirements. You're going to have 2 pieces of text evidence. You're going to use MLA formatting throughout. And everything that you write for this class, and you guys have already started to do a really good job in the discussion forums of using the works cited. There is a resource in the course itself to help you with that, and you can see the link that's right there. All right, so your finished response is going to be 800 to 1,000 words, which is about a 2-page essay, usually between 5 and 7 paragraphs. So the structure of it is you're always going to, whenever you're writing an essay, you're always going to have a thesis statement. So that way it provides the reader what the rest of the essay is going to contain. Okay, so you're going to identify what the title of literature that you've chosen, what you're going to write about, which is going to come from one of those prompts. And you also want to include the author's name. So once you have written that introductory paragraph that includes a thesis, then you're going to have a body paragraph that kind of outlines what you've already talked about. Okay, if you're going to pick the one with talking about the swapping characters, then each of those body paragraphs are going to explain that. And it's going to, that paragraph is going to have its own topic sentence as well. And of course, every essay that you write is going to have a conclusion, and it's going to kind of summarize what the main parts of your argument is. And, kind of offering some kind of closing context or insight in what you have talked about. So you're kind of bringing it all back home. You want to make sure that you have taken time to proofread and have correct punctuation and are grammatically correct. And I really hope that everybody is using the How to Write a Response Paper resource that's in our course. That is really helpful in making sure that you have the right format and you're on the right track. And anything that we write in here as a formal essay, it's always going to be written in the third person. You don't want to write about, I'm choosing to write about this essay. Because we're looking for a little bit more of a formal language. So any of those personal pronouns are going to be left out. Any of the I, me, why, or we're going to look at this story, because that still denotes, that it's written in first person. So it's a good rule of thumb to leave out any of those personal pronouns to make sure that you're following that third person point of view. All right, so, and one other thing that I wanted to share with you as we get started writing, writing is not an easy task, and sometimes students get stressed, and sometimes they run into trouble, and they run into a time crunch, and end up kind of making some bad choices, and I don't want you to do that. So I just want to remind you of the ethics code we have here at Georgia Military College. Of I will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. So one of the things that comes into play, or actually there's two things that I want to talk about. The first thing is outright plagiarizing, and that's, using a friend's paper that has already been submitted, finding one that's online, using sources online and not giving proper credit. All of those are considered plagiarizing, and it's considered academic dishonesty. So let's avoid all of that hassle. I much rather that you turn in something maybe that's not your best work, but you didn't, resort to trying to use plagiarism to get it finished. And plagiarism also includes self-plagiarism. I get that question a lot, like, well, I can't plagiarize myself. Actually, you can. If you have submitted an essay to another course, you may not use that again. And I like to give the example of if I was going to write an article for the New York Times, I can't turn around and have that same article published for the New York or for the Detroit Free Press or something like that. So you can self-plagiarize, and it is very frowned upon in any kind of writing circumstance. So please don't do that, and that will be caught by Turnitin. So the most common time that happens if someone has taken this class before and they want to turn it back in, it's going to be caught by the Turnitin process. So please don't do that. The other thing is using AI. And yes, that is very detectable. I can usually notice it before even one of the AI detector programs would notice it because it is missing a personal element. It also has a lot of language that is not typically used by college students. And it also can provide false quotes and false sources. So it is very detectable. So I ask that you do not use that because that is a form of academic dishonesty. There are times where you might use it to help improve grammar. If you use something like Grammarly, it may suggest, hey, this sentence, may be better written that way. So it just caution you about overuse of something like that. Grammarly is nice to, find some of the errors and help with create a better topic. A better sentences. However, overuse of that is going to come up on a detector. And the most common one are people just outright having AI write a complete essay. Yes, it can do that, and yes, it will be detected. So please just be careful with those things. I'm looking forward to seeing what you have to write about for the week 2 essay. These are some great stories we've read so far. So I always look forward to seeing what students have found when they are looking deep into the text and looking for that text evidence. So please reach out with any questions you may have.